I recently got the chance to play a closed beta of Agents Biohunters on the build available on the 6th and 7th of March 2020. The game pulled me in on its concept. Fortnite, Overwatch, with a bit of Monster Hunter thrown in. Intriguing. Here's what I thought of the game in its current state. The setup of the game is very familiar to Overwatch players. You start a game by choosing one of 6 heroes to form a team with 2 other players in a 3v3 game. You can choose from 3 loose classes: healing, tank and DPS, a classic setup. You are then launched into a Fortnite-esque map and compete against the other team to collect crystals. Once a team has reached 3 crystals, your team gain access to the large arena at the side of the map to fight a large biomutant, which is partly where the Monster Hunter comparison comes in. The winning team is the first team to destroy 3 parts of the arena monster. So that's the wider picture, which is easy enough to understand and pick up. What I found through playing the game though, is there's actually a surprising amount of nuance to be found, and I ended up having a total blast playing the game. You see, you're not alone on a map. You are joined by 2 different types of monsters, which are surprisingly powerful by the way, which you must work alongside the enemy team to kill before anyone can try and capture the first crystal. 15 monsters must be slain, and then the clearly indicated crystal location on the map will open up and a classic capture the zone type gameplay ensues. But the monsters give you access to 2 very important resources. The first is that upon dying, a monster will spit out a number of orbs that you can collect. The stronger the monster, the more the orbs. These can be then collected and spent on 4 different buildings of increasing expense and strength, which can completely change the tide of the game when capturing crystals. These 4 buildings are a simple wall, a simple auto turret, a stronger auto turret, and a building that creates a new spawn point on the map. Turrets can be used to fortify a crystal zone, making it your team's own temporary base to turn into a fortress while capturing the zone. Walls can be surprisingly useful blockades and give you the edge you need to defend from enemy ranged fire when in a zone. Side note, I actually really liked how simple the walls are and massively preferred them to the obscene building meta that developed in Fortnite. They help, but by no means break the game. Finally, the spawn point buildings are debatably the most game-changing buildings, allowing your team to instantly return to the crystal after dying, forcing the enemy to either destroy the building and thus distract them from the objective, or face an endless horde of your reinforcements. Back to the monsters again. I mentioned the second resource they provide, that is XP. Whilst your player account will level up as you win games, every single game you have a secondary level counter that resets at the beginning of every new round. Leveling up gives you a higher DPS, a larger health pool, and most importantly, access to your skills that must be unlocked to use. Skills can be upgraded too, meaning that the difference between level 1 and the max level 10 is enormous, making leveling essential to winning a firefight. Of course, you can also receive XP from killing other players. What this amounts to is a brilliant metagame and choice making that will change dependent on the hero you have chosen. Whilst you could run straight to where the crystal is going to appear, it may be wise to grind out some monsters first to level up and get orbs. That way, when you do turn up to the zone, you can go in with a very powerful character and build turrets to start setting up a base. Alternatively, it is absolutely a viable strategy to go straight to where the crystal is going to be and establish a foothold first, so you can be the first team to start capturing when the zone is unlocked. Traversal in this game feels great. The map is large but not huge and feels just about right, maybe a bit too big, to accommodate 6 players while also allowing for you to go off on the beaten path and farm monsters off in a corner somewhere. A unique aspect of this game is being able to summon a motorbike at any time with a small cooldown and make getting from point A to point B a quick and fun affair. I initially worried that the bikes would be overpowered, but actually it means that you can realistically go around the map and farm without getting bored of walking. Getting on the bike is also slow enough that you can punish enemies if they choose to try and make a speedy escape from a losing battle and find one of the scattered health packs hidden on the map. Collecting the crystals can sometimes be the majority of the game, especially if one team is doing much better than the other, but other times, in a more even match, fighting the boss in the arena can turn out to be where the meat of the experience is, where the game changes quite considerably for better and for worse. The first team to reach the monster clearly has an advantage of getting the first hits in, which, I should point out, has different health pools for each team. But crystals are still dropping, and if an enemy is close behind you in points, it suddenly becomes much easier for them to recoup lost ground now that your team aren't contesting with theirs for crystals and are instead fighting the monster. So what happens is a choice has to be made. Do you all head to the beast and try and get as far ahead as possible before the others join in, or do you send 1 or 2 people out to prevent the team from quickly catching up, at the cost of not making much of a dent in the monster? Once both teams have access to the monster, the game becomes an intense match of 6 players in an arena fighting the same monster but also taking pot shots at other players. It is all too easy to get distracted by enemy players and forget that the objective is to hunt down the biomutant. This mindset is particularly damning if the team manage to set up a spawner right outside the Colosseum. This brings me to talking about some of the game's negatives. The final stretch of the game against the biomutant can last far too long. Yeah, this game's gone for 52 minutes, Jack. That's way too long. Yeah. There's a timer in the top left. Like, that is way too long. With an endless stalemate really ruining the high stakes, turning the game into a slog. Games can stretch beyond an hour, which is unreasonable for a game like this, especially since the early mid-game is so varied and fun. Perhaps adding something to make characters more powerful in the late game would speed up the process. Another thing to highlight are the characters' abilities, some of which are not finished at the time of this video being made. Some of the abilities are really fun to use, others are basically an afterthought. I wouldn't say any of the abilities are bad, just a bit uninspired. My biggest criticism is the general jankiness of the game. Bullets don't feel like they're connecting to targets, glitches happen frequently, animations are very substandard, and performance is unacceptably low for a game of this graphical quality. In one game, I had an unplayable frame rate, but strangely it only happened once. We're just doing nothing. This is a bit pointless now. I checked Task Manager and the game was only using about 50% of my GPU and 30% of my CPU, so there is some dodgy code in there that needs sorting out before release. Honestly, I had a really great time playing this game and highly recommend you play it when it comes out, especially since it's free. There are microtransactions. It's a closed beta, which can be used to buy some poorly made skins, and the game definitely feels like it could be a mobile first game, but that doesn't get in the way of being genuinely fun to play. If the bugs and the jank get fixed, you should at the very least give it a go.